right, we'd like to welcome Justin Rose, our 2026 Farmers Insurance Open champion. Justin, that was an amazing week for you. I just want to read out a couple of things before we get started. Oldest winner at Farmers Insurance Open, 45 years old. 72-hole, 54-hole, 36-hole records. Fourth wire-to-wire finish winner at the Farmers Insurance Open all-time. 13th PGA Tour career win for you. Largest margin of victory in your PGA Tour career. It's a pretty amazing list of stats. Like, what's the emotions right now after achieving all those things?
You know, first and foremost, it's obviously an amazing feeling to win anytime, any place, by whoever, wherever, on any golf course. But yeah, when you start to think about some of the sort of the way this week unfolded, it really is probably incredibly special. Like you say, I think the 36-hole, 54, 72-hole scoring record, the fact I think that I was able to kind of build my lead each day, extend my lead each day, is something that obviously as a player I'm proud of, where you can kind of feel like you can play with that pressure from day one, go wire to wire, and kind of keep progressing and keep moving forward. And maybe that's something I haven't been able to achieve before either. So a lot of self-satisfaction in that one. But yeah, this has always been one of my sort of favorite tournaments to come to, whether it just be the San Diego area, the Del Mar area, the golf course itself. Even though the golf course has been hit or miss for me, I kind of feel like I've played well or not here. You know, I think last year I missed the cut of both the Farmers and the Genesis that we had here in that one year. But anyway, not to talk about that, but yeah, just what a week from start to finish. And I think it was sort of, I just got really disciplined this week. Obviously, I was playing well, but I just thought the way I managed my game, the way I thought about things, the way I was patient at the right times, the way I was able to absorb a little bit of the odd mistake by holding the right putt at the right time. Yeah, it was just, there was a lot of sort of real, I guess, mental maturity from a strategic golf point of view out there, which, you know, I think, you know, look at the best players in history, Jack, Tiger, I'm going to say Scotty Scheffler now as well. That's the sort of thing that they do really, really well week in, week out, and I felt like that's something I did really, really well this week.
Just before we take the first question, you started with a large lead, which sometimes can be a curse, but obviously it's a nice buffer. Did you feel any like nervousness or emotions like last night before you came out today, and at any point on the golf course that kind of you remember?
Yeah, there's always nerves. There's always that sort of, you know, I had a sort of a realization on the golf course today that it's a lot easier being on the golf course than it is thinking about it the night before. The reality is not as bad as you kind of try to make it out. You know, your mind will go to certain holes, certain tee shots, and you know, in the back of your mind, you're already sort of stressing about them. But when you're actually on the golf course and you have the club in your hand and you are willing to be committed, it's never as bad as you kind of think. So that's kind of a nice realization to have on the golf course rather than the other way around. But there was obviously no. Yeah, I would have had a plan B today, but obviously plan A was to get off to a good start, hit the ball well, hit the ball in the fairway, be in control of my game, and then obviously plan B was, if you have to win ugly at some point, you kind of have to dive into that. But fortunately, that plan B was never required.
Perfect. All right, we'll take some questions. If you have one, just raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone and we'll start with Dana at the front.
Justin, I know you said it doesn't matter whether you win by 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but how aware were you of the scoring record here at this tournament, the 72-hole record, and did it mean a lot to you to break that?
Yeah, I was keenly aware of it, actually. It's the only thing I was really focused on the last 3 holes. You know, I don't know if you know, but yeah, I wasn't exactly running the ball at the hole, you know, the last couple greens. They were kind of tricky downhillers. I know the line on those putts, so they were kind of makeable in my head, but I was trying to get in the clubhouse at 23 or better. And, you know, I hit a great tee shot on 18, but I was like 3 or 4 yards out from a perfect 7-wood. Wind was just a little bit in off the left, and the number was like bang on 7-wood, but if any hurt, you know, and 3-wood's no play. 3-wood would have been a mile through the green, so I was frustrated that I had to lay up, but at the same time, it was like, you know, I have a job to do because, you know, it would be nice to sort of, you know, at the point you're leading by 7, it'd be nice to finish with a bit of a flourish and hit something on the green and, you know, something like that. But I was like, you know what, there's still a bit of a job to do here, so I was trying to stay disciplined, yeah.
You mentioned on 18 after the round was over that if you were going to live anywhere in the States, San Diego would probably be a place you would pick. What is it that makes you comfortable about being out here, both the city and the golf course?
You know, found a great hotel that I really like. I love the coffee shops, love the food, just kind of the beach town culture, really, you know, down the way here. And obviously the golf course stands up to any golf course I think we play on tour. And the North course is such a great complement to the South course too. The views are spectacular. It's the kind of place you play on a week like this, and you're like, you do stop to smell the roses. Sorry to throw that one in there, but you kind of do look around and go, wow, this place is special. Yeah.
Good. Doug
Still
James.
trying to get around the fact that you shot 265 this week and you shot 72 at La Quinta in perfect weather last week. How do you explain that?
Well, yeah, I was a bit nervous playing in front of you the first week. That's what it was. Yeah.
Is this, what do you consider, and maybe I should ask this before this week came about, but what do you consider the best golf you've ever played, or best stretch, and where does this rate?
It's a good question. I feel like the best stretch of golf I played was sort of the back end of middle of 2017 into the beginning of 2018. I think statistically, or the amount of top tens anyway. And then I think actually, here at Torrey in 2019, I was world number one, and I got it to 21 under. I think I finished about 2019, 20. I got it to 21 at one point, and I felt like that was some of the best golf I'd played at that time as well. And I think that maybe I would say I've had some rounds last year, whether it be Sunday at Augusta, whether it be the Saturday of the Ryder Cup, whether it would be some of the golf this week, to be honest. Yeah, I think that those days or those weeks or those rounds are definitely showing me that the gas is still in the tank, and obviously accessing it is the job now, or is the trick. How do I do that more often? That's always the trick. But at least knowing it's there is kind of very builds a lot of confidence.
How much more or harder do you have to work to reach into the tank than you would have at age 30, for example?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily. I don't think I can work much harder. I just think I need to be patient with myself when the weeks slip by that aren't great, and just know that it's still there. You know what I mean? I think just. I'm pretty good at sort of gearing up for the weeks I want to play well, and I think having that sort of experience to do that, and obviously, yeah, listen, I'd love to find a way to play well every single week, but if I can kind of try to hone in on the weeks that I really want to play well, that's kind of, that'll certainly be enough for me to chase down some of the goals that I have left in my career.
We'll go over this side.
Justin, this tournament's been played since 1952. Nobody since 55 has gone wire to wire. How hard is it to actually pull that off here at this course?
Wow, that's an amazing stat. I guess it's hard. Yeah. Obviously, if you build a big enough lead, it kind of gets easier, I suppose. But still, it's there's danger lurking everywhere. It's the kind of golf course that you get in the rough, you start sort of compounding errors. You miss on the wrong side, especially when the greens get firm, like they were getting today. There were sort of certain areas in our yardage book that we've had as not a bad miss in the past, like just the back edge of 10 or just long of 10. Was not that bad at times. This week, because the greens were getting firm, like the subtleties of the golf course really come out, and you can start making bogeys in a heartbeat. So in some ways that's good if you're leading, because you can be patient, and obviously guys trying to chase end up making more mistakes because they're pressing. So it's it's an interesting one.
There's so many historical moments at this golf course. You go down with obviously the scoring record and then wire to wire finish like that. How does that make you feel, knowing that you will always be kind of cemented, where people remember, like, oh, remember that time Justin Rose played here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm kind of removed from that, the big picture right now, because it's just been so intense for 4 days. But yeah, incredible. I mean, obviously I've watched Tiger here many, many years, kind of hit so many amazing shots, hole amazing putts. John Rahm from the back of the green, Jason Day winning here a couple times, for sure. I feel like I've been witness to that. So to be a part of it, it's always a bit surreal. Always a bit surreal, but yeah, huge honor and privilege.
We'll go over the side to Jay.
Justin, when you hear something like you're the oldest player to do something, is that a point of pride, or do you wish people would say, hey, don't remind me how old I am?
Yeah, listen, it's I don't take it to. I don't read into it. I don't sort of buy into the narrative of it. But I take the pride out of it, that I'm doing something that's, that's not easy to do. So, but I kind of don't wake up in the morning and believe that narrative either. Yeah.
Anyone else? Next. Rodrigo.
Congrats, Mr. Rose. Your prep for this season was pretty well documented. You got the whole team, and you were prepping in the Bahamas. And this, plus the first Albatross and TGL, was there anything different that you did this offseason that you would like to share with us?
Not really. I mean, I feel like the off-season went by pretty quickly. I feel like, post-Ryder Cup, I definitely mentally sort of like came off the top and relaxed a bit to kind of get some energy and get some motivation for the year. And then really it was kind of a fairly short off season. I felt like it was. I kept things going over Christmas, practicing a little bit because we were in the Bahamas there. Then I went back to England for a week and then had more of an intense camp the week before heading to Palm Springs. And I guess kind of Palm Springs ultimately, because of TGL kind of snuck in there on the Tuesday, Palm Springs became a short week. So in my head, that was kind of like the scorecard in the hand practice. That was like the end of the off season in a way. And obviously you can sit here with a trophy and think, wow, that worked out perfectly, but it doesn't always work out that way. But, I think back end of 2025, I felt like my game was trending into a really good spot and actually didn't really feel like I had many skeletons in my closet until I played the first round of first scorecard in my hand. I started hitting some really loose shots, and I was like, wow, I didn't know didn't think I had that in my bag at the moment, but kind of was able to kind of get back on track with my feels pretty quickly. And the one thing after the Amex is I felt like I just had to drive the ball better coming into this week, and I was able to make a quick couple of little adjustments on that. And sometimes those small things make a massive difference.
Okay, we've got to wrap this up pretty soon. Go to Todd.
Justin, was there a time in your career when you had to kind of mentally recommit yourself to working towards success, working harder, all the recovery things that you do now? Was there a point where you kind of had to decide that was a priority?
Yeah, I would say I've always tried really hard, but I think maybe post-COVID-ish that time, like 2021, that era, so coming off the back of getting to world number one, started to play pretty poor golf, I think, in 2020, 2021, maybe in 2022, I can't really remember that they'll blend into one another, but I felt like at that point, I needed to make a shift because I was like, I don't want to go out like this. I don't want to just be having been number one in the world and just kind of drift into nowhere. So I felt like there was a bit of I'm not going to let that happen sort of mentality. So a bit of a recommitment, obviously, a bit of a reassembling of a team as well. Mark Blackburn's been, a fantastic addition. That was kind of back into 22 into 23. He's kept me on point. We have a great blueprint. He's really been, wonderful for me as well. Along with, Fooch coming back on the bag as well. And there's been a few changes, but the commitment as well.
A lot was said, sorry, Mark, a lot was said about Fooch out there on the green with Amanda. Can you talk about the emotions of that and having him here?
Yeah, I didn't really bring it up at all during the whole week, but 2019 I won with another caddy on my bag, Gareth Lord, who caddied for Henrik Stenson for many years. He's a close friend of both Fooch's and mine, and Fooch was in hospital having heart surgery, so he had a few months out, and then one thing led to another, and Lordy ended up staying on my bag, and then took Fooch and I a couple of years to get back together, and I think that win was always a tough one for Fooch because he's like kind of not fighting for his life, but he was in a pretty bad way in the hospital, and seeing us kind of cruise to victory and hugging Lordy on the 18th green, he nearly had to have another procedure after that, I think. So I didn't really, in my head, it was in my head all week, wouldn't it be nice to win with Fooch here? And it was totally unsaid until I crossed the water on 18, and I was like, that was fun to enjoy that with him. And I don't know if it came across in the broadcast. I mean, I felt like there were cameras everywhere. I didn't know if it was the right camera that we were talking to, but it was just a nice moment to share with him. Yeah.
What did you? We couldn't hear on TV what you said to him. What did you?
I think we were just trying to sort of have a bit of banter or make light of the fact, hey, Lordy, I hope you're watching now, because, now it's Fooch's turn to be walking down the 18th with me here at Torrey, and, we were just kind of going through what happened in 2019, I suppose, but yeah.
One last one, Doug.
Two quick things. You mentioned goals you're chasing. What's left for you? Is it strictly majors?
Yeah, majors is where I have my attention for sure. I mean, obviously, I would take, like I said, I've achieved a lot in the game, but I've achieved a lot of it just once. So I'd take multiple of anything that I've achieved for sure would be great. But if I look at my career, I've been really close to the Open. I've been really close to the Masters. The dream of winning all four is obviously the ultimate goal in since I've been a kid. But it seems a long way off to think that way, but if you think about some of the results I've had in the last year or 18 months, I'm not that far away, so may as well keep believing.
Secondly, there's been a big focus on Liv this week, obviously, with Brooks coming back and the announcement on Patrick. you left here last year, I think, at number 55 in the world. And I'm wondering how much this last year, if not before that, has kind of given you validation of what was put in front of you and the decision you made.
Yeah, I feel like, my career goals have always only been attainable by staying sort of, on the European Tour and the PGA Tour, because, access to them is not possible the other way. But obviously, I want to play in and amongst the best players in the world. That obviously, for me, is kind of what keeps me motivated, what keeps me hungry, what keeps me pushing. So, yeah, it would have been easy to potentially do other things, but none of that excited me, I don't think, really, and none of it gave me access to what I wanted to achieve. So I kind of always felt like my childhood self wouldn't feel very good about making that decision, and kind of giving up on those dreams. And I feel like, I've been close. I would say, sniffing and knocking on the door for a couple of majors since those decisions have been made, and those moments, it did validate the decision, but. Not to weigh in on the world of golf right now. I feel like it's good to see people wanting to kind of play where it motivates them to be their best.
All right, Justin, congratulations on the victory, and all the best for the
Thanks,
rest of the
everybody.
season.
Thank you.